How long have you been teaching in the school system?
Not too long. No, that's just recent. This year.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. You'd be surprised though. Like all the years I've been teaching here, though, the school system has not been one to accept me.
Right.
So. Just now that they're giving me a shot. In fact, I had jobs of this nature years ago, but when I didn't take the vaccine, I lost the job.
Right.
You know?
A lot of people lost it.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Pieces of God, King, come on. I'm gonna be here until 8 o'clock. So I've been here since the equality hour. So any questions that you have and everything, right? We got the earth here. So I've been building with the earth. So any questions you have, God, anybody that's getting online now. I'm gonna be here till 8 o'clock. I'll be here for a solid hour online.
Can you elaborate more on the dynamics or the relationship of creator and creation?
First off, this reality of creation is something that we made and we ever make. So it is not done, it is always being done. And our reality in it is being creators inside our own creation. So this is our own creation. Anything that we think we haven't done has been done by those before us, though. And we are all linked of one mind. So it is all our responsibility. And this is what the Eastern philosophies, especially many of the Buddhist philosophies, how they deal with karma. You know, karma is the reality that you are in. You know, all that other stuff are like, oh, look, I stepped on a shoe, though. Something's going to have to be later in the day. That's a westernized version of karma, you know, hitting back immediately.
Yes,
that doesn't really happen like that. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the responses or the real karma of that nature, you don't really see it, though. You know, you don't really know. And it could take generations before you even see some impact, you know? So people waiting for a bloodsucker to fall, that's not really what happens, you know? But this idea of being a creator in your own creation is really the essence of what we're teaching, you know? And because of that, we create in our own creation, this creation that we are in. And we are inspired by our own creations, and it inspires us to create more. So it is literally a build upon our own realities, our own work. Come on, you said, I know I've asked before, but will you ever make a book of the understanding of certain degrees? Not necessarily a book. I don't want to make a book about degrees. I'll make plus lessons like worksheets, like 1 to 36 I'm doing, but I definitely don't want to make a book. You know, that's something that I want to keep. I think should be kept something that is taught one-on-one. You know, because remember, the book is to be read by someone that you do not meet. And that is not how I would want to teach it. So those things I don't want to share that way, you know? You know, Clemente, peace. Clemente, any questions here? I'm here. Remember, I'm offline. So when we're not in the classroom, that's when we can build. But God, you said, is mysticism the same as dealing in mystery? Mysticism often is applied to stories and ideas that don't necessarily have a scientific basis, right? So obsessing over mysticism, the mystic arts, and these ideas certainly delves you into mystery. You know what I mean? Right? Yeah. Oh, Clemente, if you did send me an email, put it to the top. Forward it to me again. So that way I could be reminded, okay? Because it means I missed it. You know, I'm always trying to keep up to date. I'm actually really behind on some jail letters I have. So I gotta get on that. I think I'm okay with emails, but if I have an email I haven't answered, forward it back to me. Put it on the top. and I'll see it again. But, yeah, mysticism, I would say, like, with different examples, I would give answers also. You know, sometimes what people think is mystic is not really mysticism. You know, Hazrat Inayat Khan wrote a book called The Mysticism of Sound and Music. The Mysticism of Sound and Music. And I didn't find that book to be mysterious at all. It was it was an amazing book. King, you said, what are your views on Sufism? You know, I built on this many times. I love the Sufic literature. The Sufis were orders of Islam that were not orthodox in any kind of way. They were clandestine. They were undercover. They kept out of the radar because many of the things they said they got in trouble for. And they also, many of their orders did come to the realization that man is God. And they were killed for it. Many of them were killed for it when they were recognized as such. So many of the legendary Sufic orders, these Sufis became what? They became teachers, poets, orators, and they were able to teach covertly, where you wouldn't really notice, you know, and they taught with fables and morals, poetry. You have famous ones like Jalaluddin Rumi, Rumi, right? People always talk about, oh, I know Rumi and stuff and whatever, right? But Rumi has really great literature. Like, he's written so many amazing things, you know. But it's funny how they read Rumi and they don't read the deeper things that he's trying to say. They just read it as poetry, which is fine. It's so beautifully written, you know. And he was Persian, you know, same place where polo comes from, right? 2 L's up, right? Because people be thinking polo's a British game. No,
yeah, that is not all.
It's not. Yeah, it's a Persian. Yeah, it's a Persian game. There was no horses in Britain for them to be doing that. That's later.
True, that is a Persian. Yeah. I mean, horses and Persian. Yeah. Right.
Remember, because horses are literally exported. They weren't originally there, so you know. Yeah, the best book to start if you want an overall view of like Sufic orders and how they teach and the way they teach is The Sufis by Idris Shah. Idris. Idris Shah. Shah. And you could ask me. You can email me. Yeah, I got. Yeah, I just said. What is it? Last week or so, I finished reading a shorter book of just fables that he wrote called "Wisdom of the Idiots," and it was really good. It was really good. It had a lot of jewels in it, you know. And they're basically stories about those times and stuff, and a lot of it has to do with the relation. They were very much into the relationship between teacher and pupil. You know, a lot of the fables were about that. You know, but the Idris Shah book, like that one I'm mentioning, it gives a good overview of like the poetry, the fables, the stories, and then you kind of get a mix and you can see. But Sufic literature is some of my favorite literature to read. I really love reading Sufic literature. You know?
What you say Sufic orders? So like they had different.
Yeah, they had different groups and stuff, and you know, yeah, because there were many of them. They weren't all in the same place, but. Like, it's funny that the Sufic orders have a thing. There was one Sufic concept where they were saying that when the when the disciple no longer wears the robes and garments of of the order, that is when he is truly of the order. And it really hit me hard because the more I started to do kung fu, the less I would show that I do kung fu, and I stopped wearing gis. We used to like, me and Infinite and everybody, we used to walk around here looking like we were in a kung fu movie. We would go to Chinatown and get all of the silk ones, the silk frog button shirts. Like we had them all. Like we was wearing the whole thing. We even used to wear the Chinese sneakers. You know, all that stuff. We was wearing everything. We were drinking tea outside. We'd be outside and then we're drinking tea in the cups. You know. Yeah, and that's where we got into Baji Chu and the tonics. Shaoxi, Baji Chu, Tiger Bone. We were the ones that were drinking that, like before Drink Champs. That's how they know about all this stuff. Because we was the one juice bar and all that. When they sell Baji, that's from us.
Okay.
Because we were going in there eating and drinking Baji in there. And the way the guys were drinking, we was drinking Baji, getting drunk off the Baji. It's a tonic. You're not supposed to use it like that.
Right, yeah.
But we were drinking crazy, and then we turned to drunken monks. But it was when you drink it correctly, it's a good healer,
right.
You know.
Yeah.
But it's fermented though, so you know if you drink too much, you're gonna get messed up.
Yeah.
You know, and we're the ones that brought it to like Juice Bar and all those other places though. You know what I mean? And I forgot the other. There was a restaurant here. What was it called? Roots or something? But there was another Jamaican restaurant, vegan Jamaican restaurant here.
Over here.
It was better than Juice Bar.
Okay.
They didn't have the diversity of foods.
Okay.
But the food that they make was unique every day, and it was just so homegrown. Like it felt like home cooked meals every day. We used to hang out in there. It was great, you know. But you know, they didn't make it, I guess, you know. But yeah, we used to walk around with weapons, you know, weapons you can't put in your pocket. They were huge. They were like spears. We walk around with swords and spears.
Yeah.
Down the block. We was really doing it, you know. But the more that we got intense with it, the more we kept it up over the years, the more we kept it hidden. You know? I do more Kung Fu now than I did when I was then.
Really?
More intensely, yeah. Way more now. You know? But I don't even have any frog button shirts anymore. Which means that I got to go to Chinatown and get them, yeah. And now that I'm talking about it, I really miss having some Baji. But Baji caught on with the elders too. So they used to drink it like a liquor.
Yeah.
And so when we used to come here, there would be times where I didn't have, like, the class would be over and the kids would leave and Allah B would bring the Baji, Lil Justice would bring the Baji, and we'd be having Baji. And they like to drink it. We would drink it. I would always drink it the way I was taught, like drink it, you know, a little bit off, you know. And they would drink it like a liquor. They pour and put ice in it and everything. And yeah. But it was peace. It was, you know, I remember those times. Now a lot of bees not here and everything. We used to have like Baji and everything, you know. And it was nice, you know. And the tiger bone now doesn't have tiger in it, but they used to.
Okay, yeah.
The tradition was that you get that strength if you had actual bone marrow from the tiger in it, and that's what, you know. But now it's just different herbs that they put in it. But the tiger bone, let's say that you see on Drink Champs. That's from a company, I think it's Royal something. I forget because they make tea also.
Okay.
And theirs is more refined. So it becomes more of a liquor. So just a little bit of that and you are done.
Yeah.
You are done. And I never drink the tiger bone that they sell because it's that refined one. It's not really you know, it's more of a liquor and it just gets you messed up. It doesn't really heal. Use Baji the right way with the Qigong practices he was teaching us. We're able to heal. Because I had a major injury. And I was like, what do I do, Bobby? I was doing everything. I got into neodymium magnets, which are really super high-powered magnets. So I still have them to this day, and I use them to sit down when I'm at home. And when I have injuries, I put them on, and they heal your body. What they do is they heal the magnetic field. Yeah. And so they're opening up the chi there. Yeah. And I read books on it, and I bought them. And it was Gary Noel who was selling them. He was selling like these tights, right?
No, I'm laughing because my mother loves Gary Noel.
And when I first started being vegan, that's where I was learning from, right? And he still has a show. Yeah.
She's like, Gary Noel was on.
Yeah. No, I always listen to Gary Noel. I usually work out listening to Gary Noel. Okay. And it was funny because the magnets were they were on these pairs of tights. So I would put these tights on with the magnets and then put my pants over it. And when I had that major injury, man, it started to go away. And then I was drinking the Baji to open up the chi. I said, listen, these magnets, the pants, I've had them for years. They're almost 20 years old. I had the magnets. those tights ripped up and they are gone. And I kept the magnets, you know, and I use the magnets whenever. So I've had injuries. I might put them on the mattress, lie down, go to sleep.
Yeah.
It's great, you know. And use it for a little while. You don't use them all the time. When you feel better, you take breaks with them.
Okay.
You know, because they stimulate, and
Yeah.
sometimes they can stimulate you and give you pain if you're okay.
Okay.
You know, but it's something to look into. You know, but I've had real benefits with that. And now I'm a writer, so I'm sitting down so much when I'm working. I use them when I'm sitting on my chair at my desk, and I tell you, man, my legs, they're always good. And, you know, I very rarely have problems with my like muscles. You know, but that's a combination of things. You know, the right stretching and, you know, proper squats. You know, real deep squats and all that. But magnets definitely help. The right, you know, magnets. You know, I don't know who sells them though. You know, because like I said, I bought those from Gary Noll. Gary Noll had a lot of weird inventions that people do now, but he had sloppy versions of them.
Okay,
But he had the idea, like he had the idea of a water bottle that filters. Way before anybody had those. But when I bought it, it was so hard to squeeze that I couldn't get the water out. You know what I mean? And then he's had like a portable air filter.
Really?
That it would be like this big. It was like maybe half the size of my phone, and you would clip it in your thing, and it would be. It was an ionic filter, so it was filtering stuff. I had it for years. I'd be wearing it in my shirt. Yeah. One drop of water fell in it. And it got ruined. One drop of water, and I was done. Yeah, but he had a lot of inventions in them. He had a really good air filter too, and I had bought that too, but it was huge, you know. But then when my first marriage fell apart, though, she took the filter. You know what I mean? I didn't get it. You know, I don't know why though. She didn't care about the health stuff, you know. But they didn't take my damn filter.
That was a shot.
Yeah. Listen. When the relationship doesn't work, usually a man gotta go. You know? We gotta take what we can carry. You know. So I've lost a lot of books and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's just the way it is. You know, I'm so glad that my books are digital now. But yeah. That's peace. Equator, all right. This brother named Equator Program, peace. Kasim, peace. All right, what's this 704 Joe? Peace. Any questions that people have? I'm gonna be here till 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? So we could build. Also, I didn't look at the link, but the NYP talk show, right? It's the God Supreme. He had me yesterday, and he put it up already. I didn't even look for the link because honestly, I did the show, and then after that, I was like, yo, it was all day. I had to run home and do the show. After that, I was like, listen, I gotta watch some TV, man, and chill, because I was just all day I was running, you know. And I told you I read a lot while I'm outside, so I had already read a ton of stuff and I had written, so yeah. So I was like, because I go to bed very early.
What time?
I go to bed by 10 o'clock. I have to be in bed.
That is so. Because I'll be running, but like, I'm trying to get back to having normal sleep.
Yeah. 9:30, I'm getting tired. You know, 9:30, I'm getting tired. But 10 o'clock, because I wake up at 5 to train.
Word. Nah,
so I need 7. I need at least 7. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Now it's just like what's messing me up is really not me. It's because the Mets play. And then I like to talk to my brother about it. And we just talk, because he lives in LA.
Okay.
So we're watching the game together and texting and stuff, you know. And then sometimes the games are real short. Sometimes they go long and stuff, you know. But when they go short, I get to sleep, you know. But that's how it goes, you know.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions that people have? Let me know. What are we doing? Yeah, so that show, let me see if I could find it so I could share the link in here.
What was y'all talking about?
Oh, it was a very interesting show. He asked me, and I was like, he knew it was going to be a quite kind of interview that I didn't want to do. Oh, it just came up. Yeah. So basically, he was like, "Can we have a show where you talk with a Moor?" And I don't even know if the God knows all the history I had with certain Moors, though. But like, we used to have confrontations with a lot of different peoples, you know, and Moors were one of them. But there was one person that was here that was coming from the Moors and really fronting like he was the God and was teaching a class here, and he had got exiled. And that was one of the people that was really saying like, "Yo, you're not writing exactly what you're doing." He was teaching eugenics literally, you know, like he was on that tip, like eugenics, but for us though. And you know, like we got to get the right seeds here. We got to get this seed and everything. And I was like, listen, and this is something me and Darkim used to always talk about. He's like, a lot of us that got this knowledge though, we was not the right seeds to get it. We was not the right people.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That makes sense,
right? So you can't be doing that, you know. And he was on some Black Power stuff, you know what I mean? And I knew it.
Yeah.
And eventually, at the end, though, he got exiled and couldn't teach it anymore. And he showed him proof that he was on some devil shit, you know.
Yeah.
Because after he was like, "Oh yeah," when he was face to face with me, he didn't say it. But then the next day, he was on the internet and he was like, "Oh, some people they're not really black, so they're not really about Black Power." Because I was telling him, "How could you teach here? You don't even know certain things the father did with the lessons." Remember what I'm saying?
Yes.
Well, the father took out Skunk from the second degree, who was the colored man, because they had Skunk of the planet Earth. And the father took that out because he said that the white man is not an animal. He's from us, so he's human. He's not an animal.
It's like,
you know?
Yeah.
He felt that was degrading. And he didn't know why that was, so he had an issue with that. You know, so anyway, that guy was with the Moors, and he was bringing Moors here, and they was doing all types of stuff here. So we and Darkim, we had confrontations with them. You know, you can't be doing that here, right? And so it was like, do you want to do the show building on the differences between the Moors and you and all of that? And I was like, I was okay. But I ended up doing it with this brother, Sharif. And Sharif is a great brother.
Okay.
I didn't know him personally, but I met him because when I started Kung Fu, he does Kung Fu. Yeah. But he was way advanced. And my Sihings, my older brothers in the Kung Fu, they was with him. And they was with him and they was peace with him and they was exchanging stuff. And I was like a young baby in it watching. Yeah. And I was like, yo, this dude, because if you see him, he's got arms like his legs are the same size as his arms. Like they look the same. Like he has giant arms. Like they're like trunks. So he knows animal styles, all of that. So he's really dope. But we had a great build and it was really peace because he's civilized man. He's righteous, you know? Yeah. And, I'm gonna put the link here because
how do we like decipher between like, okay, so it's like white people, right? And then like,
decipher what way?
Okay, so like the devils, like we like, you know, say like, you know what I'm saying, white man is devil or whatever. The understanding that white people also come from us, but it's like, so how are the devils deciphered? Like how do we define a devil?
We could say like, oh, every white person this and that. It's not really like that. It's the people that's doing devilishment.
It's right. It's unrighteous.
You know what I'm saying?
People,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. It's about righteousness and devilishment. Because if we start doing it by just how they look, then we're not really teaching the human families. We're labeling the human families.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not really the way to be taught. You know, it's supposed to let you know, like, the white man was made weak and thus wicked. So nobody's born wicked.
No, okay.
You see, they're made weak, so they're prone to wickedness. Yeah. And if you look at their history, general history, that's been the case. Even listen, like when I've taught the white people that I've taught, they can never deny that love. If you take it as a generality, there's nobody done more devilishment than your peoples. Like it's not even close. They could go, oh look, but what about the people here that did this and that? But those are modern era. You guys have been doing this still for hundreds, really, that 6,000 years you've been here. And it's always been the leader of it. You know, people say, oh, you got dictators too and everything like that. That's like funny because most of the dictators, they're the ones that plant them and support them. But you know, look, made it in the atomic bomb. Who threw it though? You know what I mean? For a country of original people that was gonna surrender, right? And at the time that they threw it, they didn't. They assumed that it was gonna wipe out the whole population. So they were okay with getting rid of Japan, like straight up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not. You know, I
That's
talked
all
about
right.
like so they was willing to wipe out a whole peoples. But the thing about it though is that when we say weak and wicked, we know that them you know who the people are, and now you know who you probably are going to deal with, and then how you should deal with people. You know,
Yeah.
so when white people are righteous, then you know that it's a different type of angle, different type of experience.
Yeah.
It's always important to know where people are coming from and what they know. You know.
Yeah. And how are we supposed to deal with unrighteous people?
Depends on the situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, when you deal with unrighteous people, the first thing is to protect yourself and whatever it is that they're trying. You know, an unrighteous person can only affect things if they're having an influence. So what you're really protecting is not stopping them per se immediately, but only making sure that they don't influence the continuation of that devilishment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if that means stopping them, so be it. If that means making sure that others aren't affected by their devilishment and isolating the devilishment, then that's true, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, the women's bathroom is right here. Yeah, so let's see. It's the first door. The last door is the men's. The next one is the. Yeah, no, the other one. So there's the one. Yeah, yeah, that one. All right, you got it. Yeah, I'm gonna put the link in the in here so you all could check out the show that I did with NYP Talk Show, and it was with the Moore Sharif, and you know he's pieced to build with because he's been around the gods. He knows he has a great knowledge and familiarity with with our teachings and the lessons. So he's always been a builder, and it was a great build, you know, and it was great for me too because as you hear in the show, I never got to build with him personally. You know, he's always been in the cipher, but I never really got to like build with him. So and really know him like that, you know. So it was very positive, you know, supremely positive, and I gotten great feedback from it, you know. Today's mathematics is knowledge build or destroy. This is the completion of creation. The knowledge you build with borns. The knowledge you build with borns. Always born something, right? That means that you've got to do something profound with the knowledge, right? All right, let me know. Everybody's not. Let's add on here. I didn't even see this, King. You said the guy had the Bruce Leroy green fist. Yeah, man. I had my favorite gi that I had one that was blue with white frog buttons, and I had one that was brown with um brown with white frog buttons. The brown one was real fitted on me, so it moved really good with me. And the blue one was just nice. I had it for a long time. You know. All right, I'm gonna be here till the build hour, so you let me know um, what we can build them out, what questions you want to know. By the way, before it actually might happen, the last two sessions are cut, like just cut drastically. What is happening is that my plug in this outlet is not absorbing enough battery charge, and because my laptop needs to be plugged in to work, it's really old. Um, it just cuts off. So I see I have it's charging, but it's about 70%, 74%. If it goes lower and stuff, it might cut off though. But that's what's been happening. Nobody's asked me about it, but that's why it's been cutting off the last couple of weeks. And I think it's the plug. So I put it in a different place, and it has not messed up, and that might be the reason. And put it in a different plug. So we'll see. All right. Did I give you Supreme Math?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna email that to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right, and the plus lesson I have on Supreme Mathematics, so you can start memorizing it and then asking you questions about it. Okay.
Okay.
Whatever I wrote in the plus lesson is not for you to memorize, but it's just for you to know some of the history, some of the insight about it. But definitely not. I don't want anybody to memorize whatever, but I want you to have your own understanding. Some of the stuff I'll say obviously is true and will agree with you, and that's peace. And to say it or use it. But as you go along, you'll see to have your own way of saying things and everything. To have your own. The goal is to have your own self-styled wisdom.
Yeah.
But I'll send you that though. Let's start you off with that.
So would you say in this time period now, the our goal or the goal is so we talked about us being the creator of our own creation.
Right.
So as we see in the time period now and stuff like that and stuff going on, it's not necessarily ignoring what's going on, but we seeing what's going on, and then within that, cultivating or cultivating the reality that we would want to see and shit and stuff like that. How navigating through this.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it's always been a thing where this teaching is to help you navigate, not and covertly as well. Not always overtly. But I think this, and I've always said this though. When I teach, though, I'm not teaching anyone to be a citizen of this nation.
Yeah.
You be part of this nation, and it's your own choices. And then what you do, the people that decide to be a real a 5%er, meaning that they're going to be a teacher out there, they're going to share it. That's of their own volition and willingness to share what they think is going to help people, and that becomes your choice too. Now, my immediate goal when I share it is not for you to do that. That has to be your choice. My goal to share it is because that's what you are, and that's how I see it, and so I'm sharing it with you. And one of the most immediate things a young newborn can do with it, and ought to do with it, is to just make sure that this is real with you. that it is valid, that it is useful, you know, and that it furthers the righteousness that you intend to have. If it doesn't do those things, then it's not really working, you know. And so many students work so hard um, to say, I gotta go teach it here, I gotta teach it there, and everything, and want to change the world. And it's like the power by which you change yourself is going to lead to the things that you do, what you create, what you develop, what you support. That is going to change everything anyway.
Yes, yes.
You know,
yes.
You know, and again, if people are looking like, you know, let's say if somebody says, well, the things you did, Sunez, I did every single thing, one thing at a time. If I taught this class, I did it one day a week. I just did it every week. If I wrote these things, if I wrote stuff, if I made things, I wrote those one word at a time and just kept putting them down. If I trained in the Kung Fu, Bobby told me, Seagung Bobby said, listen, I said, how do I get good at this? He said, do all your exercises, right? But when you do your Kung Fu, you do 20 minutes of that. That's it. I've averaged at least 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. You multiply that by 20 years, you got what skills I have now, you know? But that's really, really how it is. And as a newborn, you this has to be true to you.
Yeah.
This has to be able to be valid for you. King, you said the knowledge of who you are is powerful enough to build others around you up through influence. Yes, it is also powerful enough to destroy self or others around you when used irresponsibly. This borns to others the nature of God, the true and living. Yo, that's a great add-on. What you said, King. That definitely is the deal. You know what I mean?
Can you repeat that?
What he said? Yeah, absolutely. King said the knowledge of who you are is powerful enough to build others around you up through influence.
Yeah.
It is also powerful enough to destroy self or others around you when used irresponsibly.
Right.
This borns to others the nature of God, the true and living. That's really what it is.
Yes.
That's really what it is, you know?
How do we describe creation, or creation, when it comes to the earth and stuff like that, or the actual the planet that we live on?
It's not necessarily to describe, it's just that the earth, though, is, when we say the earth, the black woman is symbolic to the way the earth moves. So all of the earth motions, right, the emotions, they mirror her. So this reality of creation is most evidently seen when we look at the black woman, is seen as the way the earth is. It's able to sustain all life. It's able to channel these complex, chemical realities like photosynthesis that scientists still have trouble duplicating. They still can't duplicate that. What happens with the sun? How does the sun channel energy and then it becomes plant food? They can't even figure that out yet. To actually replicate it, And that's probably why they don't. They always want to make something, do it like.
Yes.
Instead of trying to just understand it and live with it better, they want to just make it themselves and stuff. And it's like, why can't they just have why can't you just enjoy plants? They want to, probably engineer their own plants.
Right.
That Western mentality that, it's a European mentality. It's never satisfied. It always wants to conquer.
Yes.
Yes. It can't just deal with things as is and just understand them.
Right.
But when we look at the earth and we look at the black woman, they share these like realities.
Right.
And that's why the father started calling the black woman the earth. Because it wasn't immediate, though. That was over time.
Okay.
You ever been with older earths, though? They weren't always called that. They were just called queens and stuff.
Queens, okay.
Yeah, they weren't called that. Okay. And the reason that we don't call the black woman a goddess It's not because if somebody says that she's a goddess. That's one. I would rather have a woman say that than say she's a bitch or anything. You know what I'm saying? Right? And when we don't say it, it's because we're looking deeper into it. And when the black woman is not a version or a different version of man. So it's not God and then that version, goddess.
Yeah.
You know? So when people say it, I know they don't mean to be offensive. They mean it like a counterpart and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we're being distinct. Like, nothing is like the black man. Nothing is like the black woman.
Yeah.
They're both distinct. They're both special.
Right.
And they're both interdependent realities that cause all this to be.
Yes.
You know? And they should be seen as such. And there was the emphasis of that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I get it.
So when the black woman, right, when you're looking through your mathematics, you're not stuck at 6, man. That's some stuff that people say when they hate the woman, you know? And I'm saying a lot of great gods, they have bad relations with women, though, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Man, if I said I got 2 baby mamas, I could do the whole thing too. I could do that whole, you know?
Yeah.
And it's that I won't let my own anecdotal reality, my own reality, you know, get in the way of that. Because at the same time, I have 2 baby mamas, right? But I got 2 daughters though.
Yeah.
So what angle you look at? The negative angle or the positive one?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know too many great black women to even be thinking like that.
Right.
You know, like there's so many Earths that I know in this nation that are like that are my sisters.
Yeah.
Like I would never, you know, like no.
Yeah. Right.
So when we look at it like that, you know, then you have to look at it like the Earth is not stuck at 6. That's a misnomer that got built on to be demeaning and to be condescending to the woman. The stuck at 6 means that they can't reach equality. The devil is stuck at 6 because he's mired in what? Power, but the wrong kind of power. You know what I mean? The lust for power. So he never reaches equality, which is a balance, a proper position to be in. So you're not stuck at 6 because if you were stuck at 6, you'd be inequality, and no one is ever stuck at equality if they're inequality, right? They always propel. Now, when the black woman builds mathematically, she does reach 7, 8, 9 because she builds like God. She has the reality of God. You see? And God comes through her. You see? So when she's building, she reaches that what? Supreme level of herself and is able to what? Build and born realities as well. You know? It's like I said the yang and yin too, right? If the yang is the male counterpart, it still has that white dot, and the yin has the black dot. So they still have aspects of each other. Yeah. You know? And that's why they're interdependent. You know? And when we start looking at things like that, we'll understand the nature of the black woman and nature of the original man, instead of just shouting stuff out and just being angry. You know? Yes. Right? And look, a lot of times, and I'll say even my own personal thing, even my own self, and I put myself in there, these relationships I had, they couldn't work anyway. And they had nothing to do with what a black woman is. It was those individuals, and they couldn't deal with this. But how many people can be God, be a 5%er? You know? Like, I could be egotistical and say, oh, they couldn't be with God. But the reality is they also, most glaringly, couldn't be with a 5%er. What I'm saying is the duty that I took to teach it this long and this serious and this in such a sacrificing way, you know? So that's what it is. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is. You know? So when you're dealing with your mathematics, don't be like, I'm not, they're all yours. They're all yours is what I'm saying. You know? No, you got some of the numbers and all that. No, that's not, Because to me, when they say the black woman, she's stuck at 6, I find that the most disrespectful and the most incorrect bills that I've ever heard. It's not a bill. It's bullshit. You know what I mean? You're gonna have a family with the black woman. You're gonna say she's stuck at 6?
Yeah.
You might as well go get, you might as well get a Karen or something. If you're gonna do all that, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Might as well just, you're gonna have that much disrespect. But like everything is real. And a lot of elders, they were, they were burnt and everything. They had to find their own reasons, and they don't want to maybe not look at themselves also, right? Right. So it's the way that it goes. But I didn't have daughters to tell my daughters that they're stuck at 6.
Yeah.
Now Cypher. I don't have no daughters stuck at 6. Shit. Man, no way. All right, let me see. Some stuff was written here. All right. Mr. G1, peace. You said DNA strands look similar to the infinity, which is a number 8 sideways. That is true. Suze, can you add on about the atom and the positive and negative atoms within self? As far as atoms and stuff, I don't know if there are certainly positive and negative atoms. You know what I'm saying? But when you deal with atoms and you deal with like the electrons, when you get deeper into the atom, what you're dealing with is the positive and negative charges. And those all can be affected by certain things. But there's a balance to all of these things, When we deal with as far as the knowledge of ourselves, and we study the atom, and you could study this, though I don't remember things off the top of my head as far as the structure and everything, right? But when we're looking at it as far as like how does that relate to how we see ourselves and all of that, and the atom and the depth of it, we're also, first of all, we're not going to get stuck just at the size of the atom, but even going even deeper than the atom. So when you get smaller than the atom, you're reaching the quantum world in quantum mechanics, where the rules are different. The rules of the physical world don't apply, right? And a lot of people will say Adam, Allah, the original man, ATOM. I've heard that acronym. I don't go into all that. You know what I'm saying? I want people to study science though as technical as possible, and not just turn it into instances of coincidences. This matches this sounds like this. We need people to look at the sciences more deeply than that. You know what I mean? So yes, like the number 8 sideways, that has to do with etymology and the idea that infinity was also seen as that. So these numbers coincide like that. But when we start studying atoms and we start looking at the electrons, right, protons and all that, we want to look at the relationships that they have to be balanced. We also want to look at the relationships that when we go into the quantum level and see how the mind, when thought is in the quantum level, because when we think of thought as a physical thing, then thought would be in the quantum world of energy, right? And in the quantum world, what you have is wave and energy, and they're not necessarily defined. And because of that, they could be manipulated. They're at a state of manipulation. When we see a desk or a chair or something solid, it means that they went past that level of manipulation, right? I certainly agree that having knowledge of self or the lack of knowledge of can make or break oneself. That's that. Absolute. Peace of God, Kasim. King, come on. You said today's degree in the 1 to 40, right? Today's knowledge build degree is what is the duty of a civilized person? It is our duty as God of earth to teach civilization those who lack it. If we love them, we show them then to live the science of everything in life by leading by example. Today's degree in the 1 to 40, for me, is the most important pedagogical degree. The most important degree as far as like how you teach someone, the duty of a civilized person is to teach he who is savage civilization, righteousness, the knowledge of himself, plus the science of everything in life, which is love, peace, and happiness, right? The way Savior Knowledge taught me was that you teach in that order. You teach them civilization. You expose them to the reality that's around them. This isn't really the peak of civilization. You tell them about Kemet. You tell them about your ancestors, right? You tell them about like the fraudulence of the society that, all of you're opening them up to what civilization is. Then if they're ready, like you ruin their world enough, right? then you teach them righteousness. It's man, I can't eat pork. I can't do this. What can I do? It said, this is what you're going to do. Then that's the righteousness. the right ways of doing things. Once you teach them the righteousness, many of them will be capable of doing it on their own and being self-sufficient, and they are ready for the knowledge of themselves, right? Who they are, how they're the true and living, and all of that, right? Once they get the knowledge of self, then they're ready for the science of everything in life, which is love, peace, and happiness, right? So all those aspects, right? In this course, I call it the peace course. The political education is literally the civilization, exposing the world to what it is, and the civilization enrichment would be the righteousness and the science of everything in life, really, you know.
What changed? Oh, we're trying to find out the climate change.
Peace. Excuse me, guys.
Mhm.
Please ask. What were you asking?
So the climate change and because there was a time like I was born in 1990, but I know like especially like watching certain things you see like there was a time where it was like really like God's building like on corners and like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. The question is the climate change from that to now is like I guess more like stagnant. Was it similar to like what happened in all the other movements, like all the not other movements, but like you know what I'm saying, like
I think so.
slowed it down, yeah.
I would say this though, from my vantage point though, is that the quality of the teachings didn't really erode. So we exist still powerfully in many realms. It's just a lot more clandestine, just because um, it became more popular, obviously, because it was in the popular music.
Right.
But the hip hop now is not popular music. It really is a countercultural music where you got to look for it to really get it.
Yes.
So you're not going to get the messages anymore. So the average kid is not hearing it out there. I also think it waned down too because people got used to hearing it though. So it's not as exotic as before. And also, it's not as exotic because, one thing that makes things not exotic when people find out that it takes hard work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People like that, oh, with Kung Fu, it's exotic. Oh, you do this, that. Then they realize that it's a lot of simple stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you mean you have to do, like, I get this all the time. The students, how do we get past all the boring stuff? I said, but the horse stance and the way you punch and everything, that's going to be the foundation.
Yeah.
If you don't do those good, man, you
Right.
do some fancy animal when you look crazy, you look horrible. And you have no strength and you probably hurt yourself before you get a punch landed, So all of these things are important, though. And I think this, right? I've always seen it that it was going to be this way because it's only for a select amount of people that really will listen to it and study it.
Okay.
And so it always has to go back into an underground thing. It is different than political movements because it's not based on the political atmosphere. It's based on the atmosphere of people's willingness to learn of themselves. And that, honestly, as 5%ers, we can't even say it's us. People have become less inclined to try to learn about themselves. You see now today, people are more into their identity, though. One day they're this, one day they're that. Today I'm trans, today I'm non-binary, today I'm this. Every day there's something different. And that's the identity. That's a far easier identity than saying, listen, you have to study your past, though, as a black person and look through your history and then also see your reality scientifically as saying, is there anything else that's causing your reality but you?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. That takes study.
Yeah.
It's much different than saying, you know what, I feel like I'm this type of person today. Man, it's easier to make a identity that way than with all the hard work. So that's a different a reality that we have today that I think is different too. You know, people can label themselves what they feel like at the time.
Right.
And that's always a problem though. You got to deal with the fluctuations of people.
Yeah.
That's always a problem. So people can be whatever they want, but if it's based on something that fluctuates daily, the whole world's in the problem because you're not even consistent enough to be.
Yeah.
A being is being, and you're not even consistent enough to be. So, a human is not a human becoming, where they're always becoming a human being. They gotta be being. And in all the ancients, just like when we deal with the knowledge, we're not adding something to get to your identity. We're just taking away what they told you and saying, look, it's simply this.
Yes.
Let go of everything that they tell you about this, that, and space, heaven, all of that, Jesus Christ.
Yes.
It's just simply you.
Yes.
There's nothing else. This is you. There was nobody else. There's nobody now. It's just you. It's nothing else. It's simple. So it's a simplicity. And that simplicity is hard for people to deal with. They're like, I gotta do all this. I gotta learn more about myself. I gotta learn history, read books,
right?
Learn science. Nah, it's easier to just denounce it all. That's why I feel like some of it is not even sexual. Like when somebody says that they're non-binary, that they're nothing, that goes a lot deeper than just saying
what that means.
Yeah, non-binary means that they're not anything. They're not a gender.
Yeah, I figured that's the same. I was like,
and so. But think about it. When people mostly get to a state like that, it means that they're denouncing all identity. I'm not anything. I'm whatever will be at the moment. So it's like a fluctuating person. In my mind, I'm looking at like a blob, like ever forming. I don't know what they want to form into, And it's like, because you feel that way, you can't just denounce things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we look at things like in the 12th letter in the alphabet is love, hell, or right. 12. Knowledge, wisdom, born understanding, right? That's the general course of action of all things. And then love, hell, all right, with the intention to care, going through the work, the hell, to be more right. But people don't really think that to be themselves is work. You got to work to be what you will be. And if you try to evade it, though, you'll always fall victim. Always fall victim. There isn't one thing that you become that didn't take massive amounts of work.
Right.
So you might as well do it with love. Do it with real intent.
Yes. Yeah. Right? Yeah, that makes sense. That's not the especially this currently is like a popcorn society. It doesn't. You're not seeing that. You're seeing in the. Like, because we live in this type of society, you're just seeing like immediate. You think you're seeing immediate results because you're not being shown the process, which is like. I was just talking about this before because it's like, okay, for example, in Palestine, people are like, oh my God, Palestine, because they're seeing actual bombs dropping. In America, we face the same type of thing, but in a different way. So what I'm saying is that is like sometimes you don't see the actual process of you don't actually see what's going on. You just see the results of it. So then you just be like, oh yeah, so this is that is it's easy, like 1, 2, 3 like that. Is like it's not it's nothing. It's just like 1, 2, 3 like that. There is a process. We're just being shown like the glamorization of a lot of things and not the reality of what's really going on. Yeah. So then
while we get fooled that all the people that are really making it, they're reading like hell, they're working out like hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Everybody's working hard that are making it, but we don't think that that's the case. We think it's luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Luck of the draw, and some of it is the case. C.I. Wise, you said, what would you say then about the idea of selflessness, as in losing your ego and so on? The selflessness and losing ego is about getting rid of what you think you are. So let's say, like, for example, when I got knowledge of self, before I got knowledge of what led me to this path of listening to like my day -1 God that I know, day son, when I listened to him and he brought me here, I thought I was God. That was the ego. If you could say you're God, then I'm the God. I was writing about music and I said, these rappers can say they're God and they not even sounding righteous. I could say it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's my ego. But the ego sounds the same as the final product. I came in with ego saying I was God. But when I got knowledge of self, I had to let go of my ego and realize that God is a much deeper aspect. A man of responsibility.
Yes.
That if you created the world, then you are responsible for it. The maker and the owner. To own something is to be responsible for it, not just to make it.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes.
You know, so you could have the same points of identity, but come to a different conclusion.
Yes.
As far as what that identity will be and how it will be lived out.
Yes.
You know, so certainly when I got the idea that I was God, oh, much different than the reality of me being God.
Right.
You know? So when I got knowledge, I had to what? Be humble and shed that ego and build. And it was easy because I always respected the elders and there was so many geniuses. I only met like a few scholars and professors that really mentored me that were real geniuses like that.
Yeah.
I was meeting them every day when I was coming here.
Yeah.
And it was bugging me out. So it was a real place of learning, you know? And that's what I was really using college. I have a degree that I've never used before. But my time in college, I used it as like to do hip hop, get into that world, that cipher, and do all the things that I love to do, learn all the things I wanted to learn. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Get middling grades.
Yes.
And learn all the stuff I wanted to learn, you know? That's what I was using college for. And when I came here, it had the same atmosphere where now I didn't have to worry about middling grades. I could just study and learn, you know? So certainly shedding that ego is a continuous process. You know what I'm saying? Continuous process. All right. So on that note, it is 8 o'clock now. So I'm gonna get off this thing. All right. It's definitely my time to get out of here. Sunez97 at Gmail is the email. If you have my number, text me. Always text me, and we can build. We'll find a time to call and build. And certain people, we definitely gonna build. You know what I'm saying? All right. So until next week, I'm gonna be here. All right. You come through. I'm always here from 6 to 8. 6 to 8. All right. Peace.
Well, I'm glad I came outside today.